nice things about living in Paris and writing a book is that you get to wander the city and see the sights, like this place, the Cathedral Notre Dame. I first saw it when I was 7 years old on television in the 1939 film The Hunchback of Notre Dame, with Charles Laughton as Quasimodo. The first time he jumped out on screen, I jumped out of the room in fright. It took me 10 years to see that movie, and when I did, it broke my heart. I cried my eyes out. So it's no secret that when I wrote book 1 of the Angelus trilogy, The Watchers, I borrowed heavily from Victor Hugo's story about a misshapen man who lives in a bell tower fighting to save the woman he loves. I also borrowed from the movie's film noir take on medieval Paris, where good and evil battle it out in a bell tower. And for Angel City, book 2 of the trilogy, I came back to Quasimodo's backyard, where a new battle kicks off between good and evil. A battle that could turn Paris into a dead zone for the next 10,000 years. A battle that kicks off on one of those. This is one of the side chapels of Paris's oldest church, Saint-Germain-des-Prés. The great dead man behind me is the 17th century French philosopher and mathematician René Descartes. He came up with the Cartesian coordinate system and analytical geometry, kicking off the scientific revolution. He also redefined Western philosophy with 3 little words: cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. The thing is, René Descartes died in Sweden in 1650, and as his body was returned to Paris for burial, bits of him began to disappear. Fingers and bones were turned into rings and jewelry, and somewhere along the line, someone cut off René Descartes' head. It made the rounds in the more fashionable salons of Paris, and people had the very odd habit of inscribing their names into his skull. It's down the road in another museum. That makes this chapel the perfect place for J. Harper, an amnesiac detective from another place who wanders the world with the voices of dead men in his head, to meet a defrocked priest wanted for murder named Astruc. From there, things go very bad, and Harper ends up deep underground. Beneath the streets of Paris are the subway tunnels, the sewer tunnels, the water tunnels, the electrical tunnels. Then 20 to 25 meters below all that are a series of tunnels and quarries known as les carrières. They were begun in the 12th century by miners following the limestone deposits for building materials. Many of the buildings in Paris, their facades are covered with limestone from those tunnels. And when the limestone ran out, the tunnels were abandoned. They became the haunts of smugglers and thieves trying to avoid the king's taxman. Then plague came to Paris, and the streets were full with rotting corpses. There was no place to bury the dead. So they started digging up the bones from the graveyards to make room for the newly dead. The bones they dumped into the tunnels. There's a small portion of the tunnels, known as the catacombs, open to the public. It's well lit, it's safe. They dust the skulls twice a week. The rest of it, hundreds of kilometers of it, are forbidden to enter. They're dark, they're dangerous, and if you get lost down there, you'll never find your way out. This is one of the doors to the forbidden tunnels under Paris. But that's not the door I took. Like Jay Harper, I made the trip down with a group of urban explorers called cataphiles. It was like traveling back in time, totally cut off from the real world. Cataphiles spend their weekends down here for laughs, risking dangers of collapse or worse. People have become lost down here forever. This isn't a place for the faint of heart, or anyone who has a fear of closed-in spaces. Down here, you meet the water table under Paris, and the clay floors are like quicksand. And when the lights go out, it's not just dark, it's the complete absence of light. I spent nearly half my life working behind a camera lens for TV news. A lot of places I worked were okay. A lot of places I worked, too many, were bad. I've witnessed the slaughter of the innocent with my own eyes. A lot of times it seemed like I was on the front line of good and evil. By the time the Second Iraq War came around, I was in Baghdad, and I'd had enough. Evil had beaten the crap out of me, it seemed. I put my camera on the ground and quit. Moved to the south of France, starting writing about angels. My angels were worn out, battle-weary, suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot like me, I guess. And writing the Angelus Trilogy, it sort of helped me work out a lot of my own emotions and feelings from the past. Where do my angels come from? No idea. In fact, the angels in Angel City, they have no idea where they come from either. All they know is they've been here in the forms of men, hiding in the forms of men, for the last 2.5 million years. The bad angels, well, they rule the world from the shadows. The good angels, they work the same shadows, trying to save all that's left of paradise. Angels, by definition, are not creatures of free will. They're nothing more than the extension of a divine will. In our religious traditions, in the Bible, 200 angels fell because they rejected the divine will. They became the bad angels. My good angels, the angels in Angel City, they do whatever it takes to survive because they have no choice. Besides, making them a little rough around the edges makes them fun to write about. And sometimes they're even funny as hell. There's a line in the good book, Isaiah 21:6. Go, said a watchman, let him declare what he seeth. Those words brought me to Paris looking for a place called Angel City, because they call this town the City of Light. And where there's light, there are shadows, and that's where you have to look. Take a walk with Jay Harper deeper into the shadows, where the creatures we call angels dwell.